Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Trough, a Hong Kong action thriller from 2018 that stars Nick Cheung. He also directed this. Now I have seen Cheung's prior directorial efforts, Hungry Ghost Ritual and Keeper of Darkness. I enjoyed both of those horror movies, so I was keen to check out his first directing gig within the action thriller genre. Now, undercover police officer Yu Chau, played by Nick Cheung, has successfully apprehended many criminals in a city full of evil. Because of a child abduction case, his identity is starting to be brought to light, attracting the hunt from criminal groups. In order to adhere to justice within his own heart, he starts a life-and-death battle of wits against the leader of the mysterious criminal organization. So watching The Trough is quite an experience. This movie is pretty stupid. Now take for example the opening scene where our boy Nick is hanging out in the middle of the desert and he gets attacked by a CGI hyena. And in response, he stands tall and stretches his arms wide to intimidate the beast into running away from him. And at no point is he scared during this encounter. I'm not an expert on hyenas, and I looked it up. There is apparently some real-life basis for this strategy if you were to come face-to-face with one. But the execution is unintentionally hilarious. I was laughing at the start of this film. The following scene is better quality, thankfully, with a gang boss talking to his men about, whether it's better to be a cop or a criminal. Cliched stuff, but well acted, and the boss seems multidimensional at this point. Unfortunately, the script is very thin. Our protagonist infiltrates these gangs instantaneously. He does it so fast, they don't even bother to show you how he does it. There are a few throwaway lines of dialogue from the boss, like, hey, this organization, they lost a few guys. A few guys fled or were killed. I'll get you in as a replacement. And they just leave it at that. And you're thinking to yourself, it's just that easy. Is there a temp agency for criminals? Like Thugs for Hire or something like that? It's just one example of the lame writing in this film. The ending, if I can jump to that, is especially unsatisfying, but I won't spoil that for you. Now, in the movie's defense, though, there are a few unexpected criminal elements that arise near the midpoint. I had certain expectations regarding what these kids were being used for, but it was not what I predicted. Probably because it's kind of stupid. But still, it was unpredictable and kind of entertaining. Also, I was genuinely surprised at how the film resolves the subplots relating to some of the side characters. There were multiple times when I just said to myself, wow, I did not see that one coming. So I'll give the film credit, there are some surprises in this. But how's the action? It's a mixed bag, I would say. Very early on, we get a pretty cheesy scene involving tons of CGI, where our protagonist, base jumps off of a cliff. It looks horrible. I was hoping they wouldn't go the full CGI route in some spots, but they're definitely doing this. And we need to stop with the copious amounts of CGI. There was a scene in Believer 2 that was ruined because of this. There was a scene in Furies that was ruined because of this. And the absolute worst scene in Carter, remember that one? Was the skydiving scene. And that was really bad. So my advice to filmmakers is that, listen, if it's going to look terrible, just don't do it. Shoot something else. Write a different scene in. And if you think it's going to look good and it turns out bad, just cut it from the film. Because this film could have just cut it and it wouldn't have really affected too much. Thankfully, there are some good action moments in this. The early shootout at the laundromat is actually pretty good. It's unrealistic to a degree, but it's fun to watch. Nicely violent as well. And there's some neat attacks and maneuvers in there to enjoy. The next shootout is around and inside of a restaurant, and it involves a protagonist who is working undercover at this point, and he helps the bad guys kidnap a girl from another criminal organization. But the thing is, the bodyguards of this other criminal organization are attempting to retrieve this girl, but they're just shooting recklessly and could accidentally kill her at any point. So it was like, you'd think they'd be more careful if they're trying to retrieve the kidnapped kid, but, whatever. The scene is fun anyways, and we get a bonus car chase after that. Then there's this, one versus many shootout in a computer room, like a big server room. Sufficiently entertaining, and we get a bonus knife fight at the end. Now, I will warn you, and I already did, in some ways, that there are a few shots during the action set pieces that go full CGI, which is distracting, but it's never as bad as the early skydiving scene if you could sit through that. And I don't think it occurs enough to, tank the whole movie, in my opinion. But some people may disagree. Also, there's not much of a finale action set piece during the final 15 or so minutes. It ends dramatically, which is probably not a good choice given the weaknesses of the script writing. But I would say overall, the action is a mixed bag, but I did enjoy it to a degree. We get a few cameos from old school Hong Kong actors, which is quite nice. I won't tell you who they are. Don't even bother looking at the cast list if you're going to watch this, because there'll be a few nice little surprises for you. Visuals are high contrast at times, with some bright glowing lights and dark blacks. I got a thing for that. I like it because it almost has a neon effect at times, so I did like that part. There are also some weird blur effects I didn't like too much, but those only happen a few times. So, all in all, I think that The Trough is a step down on Nick Cheung's directing resume. I did legitimately enjoy his last two directed works, but you really need to be in a forgiving mood to enjoy this one. It's kind of trash, but it's kind of entertaining trash to a degree. Brainless nonsense with a few good action scenes and surprising moments, but I do think that most people will not like this movie. I'm pretty convinced of that. So you're going to have to, this is a risky choice for you. But if you want to take that chance, it's currently streaming on Amazon. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.